The All-Star race has had some fantastic finishes, like this one where Dale Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip battled into the wall, and Jeff Gordon came through to win.
Yeah, we had a restart there. I was on the front row with Jeff Gordon, and I got a little bit of an edge on Gordon. They called it off, and then the next time we went 3 wide into turn 3, and we obviously didn't make it. Jeff did. Dale and I did.
Jeff Gordon trying to win his 4th tonight. Terry Labonte trying to make it a 3-way tie for most wins in what is now the Nextel All-Star Challenge.
Jeff Gordon has actually made a couple of pit stops here under this caution.
He thinks he's got a problem. They checked the air in the right front tire. What do they say, Matty?
The biggest complaint that Jeff had, the car was just bottoming out. Changed the tires. They also adjusted the front shocks when they were changing the front tires. He came back in for a return visit. The crew worked on the valence. It kind of folded under, so they took this opportunity to give him the best shot at getting win number 4 in this event.
One thing I noticed, Matt, they've added tape to that nose. We know the speeds have picked up. They've put more front downforce in it by adding tape, and that could be just jumping across the fence as far as the car bottoming out.
Of the 2 cars involved in the wreck, back on track is our pole sitter, Ryan Newman, while Steve is with Rusty.
With Rusty Wallace. Rusty, tell us about what happened on the racetrack.
It was just racing, man. I had a good car, I thought, all day long. We were in position throughout the day. A little tight, and just kept put a spring rubber in the right rear, took some wedge out, got better and better and better. And I finished 6th in that 2nd segment with a pretty good car. And then we had a restart, and those guys that stayed up front with only 2 tires, Gordon really started backing up and started locking the field up. We were all dicing around trying to get around him, and then Newman went into 1 and just lost it. He just spun, and when he spun, he went up the racetrack, and I was on the outside trying to clear him and just couldn't do it.
Tough break. Thanks, Rusty.
Thank you.
Well, the earlier big wreck took out all 3 Dale Earnhardt Incorporated cars, or damaged all 3. Juniors is still running. And both the Penske cars, 2 of the 3 of those that ran tonight, out in this wreck.
But Rusty was exactly right. With 2 tires, Gordon didn't get a good restart. Looked like he spun the tires. When he did, man, everybody just went everywhere. Caught Newman in the worst shape. He tried to make it all up going into turn 1.
Huge crowd on hand tonight for the Nextel All-Star Challenge. Next weekend, the Busch cars will be here, and all the Nextel Cup cars will be back for the Coca-Cola 600. Aerial coverage tonight, courtesy of the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company and its fleet of airships. Travel with peace of mind on Goodyear's new Assurance tires. "11 cars in line for this restart." Newman back on pit road, and Wallace has gone to the garage. Dick?
Big topic of conversation in the drivers' meeting tonight, Mike, the restart. How to do the restarts. The drivers were told start side by side, come even to the line. The 2 guys that had the most questions about how to do it, the 2 guys that are leading the pack right now coming down for the final restart.
9 green flag laps to go. Elliott Sadler, 19 green flag laps to go.
And of course the restarts are so crucial because again they will call the sucker off and do it again if you don't do it right, and they'll give you 1 chance to do it right.
Look at Mark Martin on the outside. Remember, he has 4 fresh tires versus Elliott Sadler, just 2 right sides. Elliott Sadler looks like he gets into the side of Mark Martin. He has to get out of the throttle. He's going to lose momentum.
Spun the tires. He got the tires spinning, and that just let Mark take off.
And then they squeezed each other. Jimmie Johnson,
Mr. Lowe's,
2nd place.
And he has 4 fresh tires just like Mark Martin in the 6 car. And we've not seen anything of Jimmie Johnson tonight till this final segment.
Boy, Elliott Sadler just drove his car into turn 3 way too hard. He's trying to do too much with that car with just 2 tires.
Going forward, about 18 to go.
Mark Martin's radio, 18 laps to go, but he's going to have his work cut out for him to hold off a fast closing Jimmie Johnson.
And that's amazing because we haven't talked about Jimmie Johnson all night long, and here he is with a shot at winning another race at Lowe's Motor Speedway.
Darrell, the bank doesn't close till 3 o'clock. You can get that $1 million in there at 259.
Well, even still, I mean, the fact that he's got himself up there in 2nd place, pretty amazing, really. bottoming out a good deal, but I think that'll get better as the tire pressures start to come up. That also tells you he's driving that baby down in there hard and getting on it.
He just ran the fastest lap that he's ran in this entire race here on lap 73.
He looks like he might be just a tad better than Mark in a couple of places, but Mark's better than he is.
Ooh, Kenseth bounces off of Jeff Gordon. Nobody spins. Whew.
Now the fastest car that lap was Elliott Sadler in the 38 car. He's moved to the high side. He's coming back to Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car.
Look at that thing go down that back straightaway, Larry.
She's handling good on the straightaway.
Got some good horsepower. And he's now got those two tires. I think they're matched up now, and here he comes.
Boy, did he ever get a run off turn 4. He just drives by Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car.
I thought he was in big trouble, but what's happening is the tires are starting to equalize, where the lefts are up to the rights now, or the rights are caught up with the lefts.
Now that contact with Jeff Gordon hurt Matt Kenseth's car. He has dropped out of the lead draft. So Elliott Sadler is trying to chase down Mark Martin. Last time by, Martin had a half-second lead. That is growing a little shorter, I think. Let's clock it here. Exactly the same.
Here's the question for Elliott Sadler. Do you want $1 million or do you want $300,000?
And does Mark Martin want to go to victory lane in what could be his very last All-Star Challenge race? Right now, you have Yates chasing Roush, but you have Roush Yates' engine chasing Roush Yates' engine.
Mark Martin, the 98 winner of the All-Star event, trying to join Terry Labonte as a two-time winner. There's Mark's crew. Their work is done, they hope.
13 to go.
And no change in the lead. It is still half a second. Martin to Sadler, with Jimmy Johnson fading and Brian Vickers along with Kurt Busch closing in just a bit.
I think when Mark Martin qualified on the outside pole here and started on the front row tonight, I think he sent everybody a little message. We're at Charlotte.
12 more, bud. 12 more. 920. He's at 20.
I love that paint job, that retro look, and this is like a flashback to like 10 or 20 years ago.
Here we have a battle for third with teammates. Jimmy Johnson in the 48, Brian Vickers in the 25. Remember, he started this race on the last row by winning the Open earlier today.
I wasn't impressed with how Vickers won the NEXTEL Open, but I am impressed with what he has done in the All-Star Challenge tonight.
And he's going to go by his teammate right here. He got a great run off of turn 4, up high, makes the pass.
If you don't think Mark Martineau, our leader right now, has turned it up, he just turned the fastest lap a lap ago that he's ran this entire race.
And he took almost a tenth of a second out of Mark's lead that lap.
Boy, I tell you, that 38 car is man. If he could just nail it a couple of times through the corner, Elliott will be there. Now, can he pass him? That's the question.
It looks like Elliott may be a little better in 1 and 2 than Mark, especially from the center off of the corner.
Mark's running a little bit lower line through that corner, and Elliott's running up there nice and high. He really closes getting in. That seems to be the deal.
And Sadler has plenty of time. There are 10 laps to go. Matt?
Earlier in the race, Mike, they were comparing the 6 car of Martin to the 38 of Sadler. They felt like the only place that Elliott wasn't dominant over the 6 was going into turn 3.
Well, boy, he's making up for it right now, Matty, because he is diving down in that corner right now.
Looks like that time Mark Martin got a real good run off turn 4, and he was just a little faster than Elliott Sadler that time. 9 to go.
It's pretty nip and tuck right now, Larry. I mean, that's a 21 to a 25.
Yeah, that's 4/100ths of a second difference on that last lap. That's nothing.
But I like what I see out my windshield if I'm Mark Martin.
Sadler's gone to a higher line in turn 4. Let's see on the watch. 43/100ths last time by is the lead separation, and Martin's lead grows by almost a tenth of a second. Coming up next, NASCAR Drivers 360. Get an inside look at this sport away from the track. That's coming up next on FX.
Here's the guy on the move now, Jeff Gordon in his 24 car. He just drove by Kurt Busch in the 97 for 5th. Remember, Jeff Gordon did 2 tires like Elliott Sadler, came to pit road several times. Now he's in the top 5, but he'll need a caution to get back to those two guys leading this thing right now. Right now, Mark Martin's driving away from Elliott Sadler.
Yeah, what happened, Larry, is Elliott is starting to look around for another line. He's trying to find someplace maybe he could gain, and it's just not happening. As a matter of fact, he's actually.
Hey guys, just hit your marks button. Looking good here.
Yeah, Mark is legging it out. Is this the point where those two left side worn tires on Sadler's car are beginning to give up on him?
Well, he probably can't maneuver that car quite like Mark Martin can maneuver his.
6-4, bud. You're the man.
But I think the
6-4.
biggest thing, it's been almost a year since Mark Martin went to victory lane in a Nextel Cup race at Dover, Delaware. He wants this race bad.
Tell you what, I like what Elliott's doing. He's used these last few laps to try to find a different line. Saw this happen in Atlanta with Carl Edwards. All of a sudden, where'd he come from? And now Elliott's doing the same thing. He's got a long way to go, but he's cutting it down.
But time is not in his favor. There will be just 5 laps to go this time.
And he made a big gain right there, it looked like.
Almost dead even, Darrell.
0.6 of a second. $700,000 difference, first to second.
I know one thing for sure. Mark Martin can set on a hot stove and sweat some ice water.
He's been there many times.
You got that right.
The paint scheme Mark is running on his Viagra Ford recalls the early Valvoline years that he had with Jack Roush.
You're the man.
With that big V on the hood.
950, he's a 40.
And that paint scheme. Now that time Sadler chewed 1/10 of a second out of Mark Martin's lead.
I think Mark's just being pretty cautious, doesn't want to make a mistake.
Give me 4 qualifiers.
4 qualifiers, 4 qualifying laps.
That's Todd Parrott talking to Elliott Sadler. Todd Parrott on the left, Elliott Sadler's crew chief.
He can give you 4, but I think he's just going to get you to the back bumper. That's about it.
3 more, Mark. 940, he's a 30.
Think back to the Busch race at Richmond last week. Got knocked out of the way on the last lap. He said, I wouldn't race that way. But would he race that way for $1 million?
He chipped a little more away from it that time, almost a 10th.
Brian Vickers raced that way just to get into this race.
Just can't, he just doesn't quite have the grip. He's just there, but not quite.
He better hurry, Darrell. 2 to go.
Yeah, Mark just picked up a 10th on him there. So they back us in 4th, about a 10th, one way or the other. Unless Mark makes a big mistake. Don't think that'll happen. Elliott's going to finish 2nd.
Darrell, how does it feel to see that car?
Pretty well, looking good.
See that car so close in front, you can almost reach out and touch it, but you can't get there.
Well, you're just trying to think, what can I do, man? What can I do? I've tried every line. I've done everything I know how to do. Just
Come on, bud. 1 more, you got $1 million, bud. Go get it. 1 more.
1 more, white flag.
And here's what you know about Mark Martin. You know who he'll share that $1 million with? Everybody.
Boy, Elliott Sadler drove it down into turn 1. He used every bit of the racetrack off turn 2. It's just not going to be enough, DW.
No, Mark is just too good, and Elliott's done everything he can, but Mark's just too good. Here he comes off turn 4.
Nice job, bud. Bring it home here.
Mark Martin wins the NEXTEL All-Star Challenge and $1,101,000.
Look at this battle before between Jeff Ford and Jimmy Johnson. Jeff Ford will beat him back to the line to finish 4th. Jimmy Johnson 5th, and their teammate Brian Vickers finishes 3rd.
That pass right there cost Jimmy Johnson about $120,000.
$70,000. We just won $1 million.
Yesterday, Mark Martin, although this is his final season in NEXTEL Cup, he did not rule out a return to the All-Star race next year.
This will lock him in for a
I'll
while
be back
longer.
next year if y'all give me a ride.
There you
go. That seals the deal.
That's it. Just what we wanted to hear.
I'll be back next year.
Look at Jack.
Gotta love it.
Kansas last year, Mark Martin this year.
It's the twilight of his NEXTEL Cup career, but Mark Martin is not going gently into that good night. He's going to stay around and win a few.
I don't need no rocket chair.
No, sir. A crewman has gone and got the checkered flag from the starter stand.
That's the way we always did it right there, boys. ride around the track carrying that checkered flag. It's the best feeling in the world.
They're going to lead you around there and spread some money in front of you or something like that. I love it, man. I love you guys. Thank y'all so much.
You just don't know what that means.
From the smallest 5th mile to the biggest tracks in the country, this is what the winners do on Saturday night. They take the checkered flag, they take a well-earned victory lap, one hand hard on the flag, one hand on the wheel, and often eyes filling with tears. What a great sight.